He stood up the moment he saw her too quickly, almost instinctively, then immediately pretended he hadn't. Their eyes met.
The morning after that moment felt different. Not because anything had changed visibly, but because everything had shifted quietly, dangerously, beneath the surface. Zuri woke up thinking about the feel of his hand around her wrist, warm, steady, grounding. Jae-Min woke up replaying the same moment with regret, confusion, and a desire he didn't want to name. Breakfast was awkward. She came down the stairs. He stood up the moment he saw her too quickly, almost instinctively, then immediately pretended he hadn't. Their eyes met. A spark. A memory. A question neither of them dared speak. Mrs. Park felt the shift and excused herself from the room without a word. Zuri tried to act normal, slicing strawberries with more focus than necessary. Jae-Min watched her. Quietly. Too quietly. Finally, she broke the silence. About last night. It was a mistake. He cut her off instantly. Her chest tightened. A mistake, she repeated slowly. Cooking for me? Or being kind? His jaw clenched. Both. A lie. He knew it. She knew it. Zuri straightened, refusing to let him retreat behind his usual armor. You're allowed to care, you know. No, he said sharply. Too sharply. I'm not. Why? Because you're some mafia king who can't show emotion? His eyes flashed, danger and pain mixing together. Because caring gets people killed. Her breath caught. He didn't explain further. He didn't have to. In his world, love wasn't a gift, it was a target. Zuri spent the day in the indoor greenhouse, tending to flowers Mrs. Park showed her. It was peaceful, warm, pocket of normal life. She sat on a wooden bench, inhaling the scent of roses. When she felt it, the awareness of being watched, she turned. Jae-Min stood in the doorway. He looked torn, like he had come to say something but lost the courage halfway. You're following me, she said softly. He stepped inside, the sunlight catching the tension in his eyes. I needed to ensure you were safe. In the greenhouse? His lips twitched barely but disappeared just as fast. He walked toward her. Slow. Deliberate. Every step is a warning. We need to set boundaries, he said, voice low, controlled. Clear ones. Her pulse quickened. Okay, she whispered, even though part of her didn't want boundaries at all. No touching, he began. Her face warmed. No late-night conversations. Her breath faltered. No lingering looks. She swallowed. And no more moments. Zuri held his gaze. What if the moments happen anyway? He stopped in front of her. Too close. Close enough to see the shadows under his eyes. Close enough to feel the heat radiating from him. Close enough to hear the war inside his chest. Then we end them, he whispered. Zuri stood, facing him fully now. Why are you doing this? She asked softly. Why are you so scared of something real? His voice broke just slightly. Because everything real in my life gets taken from me. Silence. Not empty silence. A silence filled with a truth she knew he rarely, if ever, shared. Her hand lifted slowly toward his face. She stopped inches away. A line she wanted to cross. A line he was begging her not to. Jae-Min, she whispered. You can't protect me from everything, especially not from you. He closed his eyes, pained. Zuri, don't. But she didn't touch him, and he didn't walk away. They just stood there, suspended in a moment they both knew they shouldn't have. A moment that broke every rule they were trying to build. When Jae-Min finally opened his eyes, they were softer than she'd ever seen. If he reached out, if she leaned forward, if either of them breathed wrong, everything would change. But then, footsteps. A guard's voice from the hall. Boss, we have a situation. Jae-Min tore his gaze away instantly, stepping back as if he'd been burned. The spell shattered. This conversation is over, he muttered, retreating toward the door. But he paused, turned halfway, and with a voice low enough that only she could hear, he said, Zuri, please don't make me cross that line. Then he left. Her heart thudded painfully, because she now knew the truth. He wanted to cross it. He is already emotional. and he was terrified because he realized there was no going back. Jae-Min didn't return to the greenhouse. Zuri waited, sitting on the wooden bench long after he'd rushed out with the guard. She tried to calm her heartbeat, tried not to replay the way he'd looked at her like she was a storm he wanted to walk into but knew he shouldn't. Then Mrs. Park appeared, pale and trembling. "Miss Zuri," she said urgently, "you must come inside, now." Zuri stood instantly. "What's wrong?" Mrs. Park didn't answer. She only tightened her grip on Zuri's wrist and hurried her back toward the manor. When they reached the hallway, Zuri saw them. 3 guards dressed in black, blood spattered across their sleeves. She froze. "What happened?" she whispered. One guard glanced at her with grim respect. "The syndicate found the perimeter, ma'am." Her breath hitched. "The syndicate are the same people who attacked her the first time." "The boss is handling it," another guard said quickly. "But until further notice, you stay inside. No windows, no doors, no movement without escort." Her stomach twisted. The threat wasn't gone. It was back stronger. 30 minutes felt like hours. Zuri sat on the edge of her bed, hands shaking. The walls felt closer. Shadows felt sharper. She hated this. I hated feeling helpless. Hated that danger seemed to follow her now. Then her phone buzzed. "Jae-Min." She picked up immediately. "Jae-Min, are you safe?" His voice was hard, breathless, colder than she'd ever heard. "Yes, but they said, you do not move. I'm on my way back." The line went silent for a moment, filled only with his breathing. Then, "This is my fault." Her heart squeezed painfully. "Don't say that," she whispered. "You don't understand. They weren't after the mansion." Pause thick with dread. "They were after you." Zuri went still, cold, weightless, terrified. "Why?" she whispered. "Why me?" Jae-Min's voice softened, but in a way that was more terrifying than his anger. "Because carrying my child gives you leverage." She pressed a hand to her stomach instinctively. "Zuri," he murmured, voice rough with guilt and something deeper. "I swear on everything I own, everything I've built, everything I am, they will not touch you. Not while I'm alive." Her eyes stung. He wasn't saying this as a boss, or as a man fulfilling a contract. He was saying it as someone who cared. Too much. When Jae-Min stormed into the mansion minutes later, the entire house felt his rage before he even spoke. The door slammed. Footsteps thundered across the marble floor. Guards straightened like soldiers in the presence of a general. He looked different. Face bruised, suit torn, jaw clenched with feral fury. "Zuri!" he called. She hurried down the stairs. The moment their eyes met, something raw passed between them. He closed the distance in seconds. His hands hovered over her shoulders, wanting to touch her, to confirm she was real, alive but stopping at the last possible moment. "Are you hurt?" he asked, voice low and shaking despite his effort to control it. "No," she said softly. "You?" he scoffed. "It's nothing." It wasn't nothing. He was bleeding. "You're hurt," she insisted. "Sit down." "Zuri, sit." Her voice cracked like a whip. He obeyed. Of course he did. She was the only person alive who could command him and live to talk about it. As she cleaned the cut on his cheek, he watched her with an expression she couldn't decipher. "You should have never been part of this. You needed a surrogate," she said. "I signed up for this." "You signed up for a child," he corrected. "Not war." Their eyes locked. "Jae-Min," she whispered. "Don't shut me out." His fingers curled into fists. "I'm not shutting you out." He swallowed hard. "I'm pulling you closer so I can protect you." Her breath caught. "That's the problem," he whispered. "The closer you are to me, the more danger you're in." Silence fell between them. Danger, fear, desire, all tangled together. Then Zuri said the one thing he couldn't handle. "I'm not leaving." His head snapped up. "You should," he said sharply, voice cracking with emotion he couldn't hide. "You should run far away from me. I'm carrying your baby. I'm not running from you." He stared at her, as if seeing her for the first time. as if realizing she wasn't just a woman in his house. She was becoming someone much, much more. He stood slowly and stepped toward her. One step, another, until she was backed against the wall, breath shallow, heart racing. His hands lifted, almost touching her face, almost crossing the line, but he stopped just inches away. "Zuri," he whispered, voice thick with vulnerability he couldn't hide anymore. "I will burn this entire city to the ground before I let anyone harm you." Her heart slammed inside her chest, because for the first time, he didn't sound like a mafia boss or a cold king. He sounded like a man who had something to lose, something precious, someone precious. Her. The threat had grown too large, too close, too personal. By morning, Jae-Min made a decision that sent tremors through the entire Kong organization. Zuri was leaving the mansion, immediately, under full protection, not because he wanted to send her away, but because keeping her close meant letting danger breathe down her neck. And that he couldn't allow. Zuri stood in the grand foyer, wearing a thick cream sweater, hair pulled into a bun, a small bag by her feet. Jae-Min hadn't slept. She could tell by the dark circles under his eyes and the tension in his shoulders. He barked orders to his men in rapid Korean. Every sentence is sharp, final. When he finished, she stepped closer. "Is this really necessary?" she asked quietly. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped toward her too close, like always, and lowered his voice. "They know your name now," he said. "They know what you look like. They know what you mean to me." Zuri's breath hitched. He realized what he said. His jaw flexed. He looked away, but it was too late. The truth had already slipped out. "You mean because of the baby?" she said softly. "Of course," he replied too fast. But she saw through him. This wasn't just about the baby. It was about her. The car ride was quiet. 2 armored sedans in front, 2 behind, an entire convoy of armed guards. Zuri stared out the window as the mansion faded into the distance. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "A place only my inner circle knows," Jae-Min answered. "Remote, secure, no digital footprint. A hideout. A safe house," he corrected. It sat on the mountainside, hidden behind pine trees and fog. A modern cabin with warm wood, steel accents, tall windows overlooking the forest. Beautiful, silent, untouched by danger. But Zuri didn't feel relieved, because safety wasn't the problem. Distance was. As soon as the guards cleared the perimeter, Jae-Min walked her inside. He moved differently here, less like the Mafia king, more like a man carrying invisible weight. "There are 2 bedrooms," he said. "Yours is upstairs. I'll be on the lower floor." Zuri frowned. "We're staying here together?" He hesitated. "I'm not leaving you alone. Not after what happened." Her heart clenched. He was staying because of her. She walked to the window, watching the fog curl around the trees. "You can sit," he said softly behind her. "You shouldn't stand too long." She turned. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "Hovering." He opened his mouth, then shut it. Zuri took a slow step closer. "You're scared," she said gently. His mask cracked. "No," he whispered. "I'm terrified." That admission. It wasn't small. It wasn't simple. It wasn't business. It was raw. It was real. And it was the first time he'd said it out loud. Zuri felt her own emotions swirling with fear, attraction, gratitude, confusion. A hurricane she couldn't control. She sat on the couch, pressing a hand to her stomach. "This baby, this whole situation, it's a lot," she said softly. Jae-Min knelt in front of her, kneeling, a man who never kneeled for anyone. "You are not alone," he said. "Not in this. Not ever." Her breath trembled. He reached out, then stopped, fist closing as he pulled back. "We shouldn't cross the line," he murmured. "You keep saying that," she whispered. "But you're the one walking toward it." His eyes flickered with something dangerously close to longing. Zuri. Her name sounded like a confession on his tongue. "If anything happens to you, I won't survive it." She closed her eyes, overwhelmed. Jae-Min, what are we doing? He exhaled shakily. I don't know. Hours passed. They stayed in the living room talking quietly, the storm outside mirroring the one inside them. The wind howled. Rain battered the roof. Lightning flashed. Zuri shivered. Without thinking, Jae-Min removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Their hands brushed. Electric. Warm. Too much. He froze. She did too. Then he whispered the words he'd been holding back. If I touch you, he said, voice barely audible, I won't be able to stop. The storm rattled the windows. Zuri swallowed hard. Then don't touch me, she whispered, breath trembling. Unless you truly want to. Jae-Min closed his eyes like the temptation physically hurt him. He stood abruptly. We should sleep, he said hoarsely. Yeah, she whispered, heart racing. He paused at the stairs, back tense. Zuri. Yes. He didn't turn around. Lock your door tonight. The words hung between them. Not protective. Not stern. But desperate. Because the storm wasn't just outside. It was inside them. Getting stronger. Harder to control. Impossible to ignore. And both of them knew. The lines they'd drawn were fading fast. The storm hadn't stopped. Rain hammered the roof of the safe house. Lightning cracked across the mountain ridge. And the whole cabin trembled as if warning them. Tonight something will happen. Zuri lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Jae-Min's jacket was still around her shoulders, smelling faintly of cedar, smoke, and something undeniably masculine. Something that felt safe. Something that felt like him. She tried to sleep. Tried to forget the way he'd whispered lock your door tonight with a desperation that wasn't fear but desire. But sleep wouldn't come. Because her heart wouldn't settle. And because downstairs, she could hear him pacing. Back and forth. Like a man at war with himself. After what felt like hours, Zuri swung her legs off the bed and stepped into the hallway. Her hand hesitated on the doorknob. Stay inside. Stay safe. Stay away. But something deeper pulled her forward. When she opened the door, she froze. Because he was already there. Standing in the hallway. Soaked in moonlight, staring at her door as if he had been fighting whether to knock or walk away. Jae-Min stopped breathing when he saw her. Zuri, he said, voice low, strained. You should be asleep. I couldn't, she whispered. You're not sleeping either. His jaw clenched. Their eyes locked. He took a step toward her. Just one. It was enough. The air thickened. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears. His breath hitched as if the sight of her barefoot, hair loose, wearing his jacket broke the last of his self-control. Go back inside, he murmured. Please was hidden in his voice. Jae-Min, she whispered. You're shaking. He didn't deny it. Because he was. Not out of fear. Out of hunger. Out of longing. Out of everything he'd been burying since the first night she walked into his mansion. He closed his eyes. If I cross this door, he whispered, I won't turn back. Zuri stepped closer. You already crossed it, she said softly. You crossed it the moment you cared. His breath caught. Her words hit him like a bullet. He opened his eyes slowly, painfully showing everything he'd been hiding. Desire, fear, devotion, desperation. Zuri, he whispered. I can't protect you from what I want. Then don't, she breathed. That was the moment the line broke. Jae-Min reached out slowly, as if giving her time to run. His fingers touched her cheek. Warm, gentle, worshipping. She leaned into his palm without hesitation. He inhaled sharply, the sound a mixture of relief and agony. I tried so hard, he murmured, forehead resting against hers. To keep you safe by staying away. You're hurting both of us, she whispered. His hand slid to her jaw, thumb brushing her lips. Lightning lit the hallway. Thunder rattled the cabin. But nothing was as loud as the moment he whispered, Tell me to stop. She didn't even blink. No. The last thread of control snapped inside him. He pulled her in. Not roughly, not possessively, but with a reverence that stole her breath. His lips met hers slowly, as if memorizing every second. then deeper, stronger, as if he had been starving for this. Zuri's hands slid up his chest, gripping his shirt. Jae-Min shuddered, kissing her harder. He pressed her softly against the wall, not trapping her, just holding her like she was the only solid thing in his collapsing world. "Zuri," he murmured against her lips. "I'm losing myself." "Then lose yourself with me," she whispered. A quiet groan left his chest. He kissed her again. And this time, there was no hesitation. Only fire. Only the truth. Only them. The Mafia boss disappeared. The cold king melted. And the man who had locked his heart away for years, finally stepped out of the shadows. When he finally pulled back, his breathing was uneven. His forehead rested against hers. "We can't go back," he whispered. "I don't want to," she replied. He cupped her face with both hands. "I will protect you," he vowed softly. "No matter the cost. No matter who I have to destroy. You and the baby you're mine to protect now." Her heart stuttered, not because he claimed her, but because he meant it. Every word. He kissed her again. Slow, tender, worshipful, as if sealing a fate they could no longer undo. Outside, the storm finally began to soften. But inside the safe house, another storm had just begun. Morning didn't come gently. It crept in through the safe house windows like a shy thief, brushing pale gold across the wooden floors, across the tangled sheets, across the two people who had crossed a line neither of them could take back. Zuri woke first. Her body ached not from fear this time, but from something softer, something she was too afraid to name. Jae-Min's arm was heavy around her waist, his breath warm against the back of her neck. He held her as if he'd spent the night protecting her from the whole world. And maybe he had. For a moment, Zuri let herself stay still, let herself feel wanted, seen, held. But reality struck like ice water. She wasn't his lover. She wasn't his woman. She was his surrogate. Contract. A vessel. Her stomach tightened. The baby's air fluttered lightly, as if sensing the tension swirling in her chest. Slowly, carefully, she slid out from under his arm. But Jae-Min woke the moment her warmth left him. "Zuri." His voice was low, rough, still heavy with sleep. "Come back." She froze. He sat up, hair messy, eyes softer than she'd ever seen. Vulnerable, something the Mafia world would never believe he could be. Last night still hung between them, warm and dangerous. But Zuri shook her head. That shouldn't have happened." Jae-Min's jaw clenched. "Do you regret it?" She didn't answer. He rose from the bed, the shift in his expression subtle but devastating, his walls sliding back into place. One by one, each brick made of pride, fear, and old wounds he refused to bleed from again. "You think it was a mistake?" His voice was flat now. "I think." Zuri swallowed hard. "We blurred something that wasn't supposed to be blurred. We were attacked. You were terrified. I lost control." Jae-Min turned away, ashamed of the vulnerability he'd shown. "It won't happen again." The words stabbed her, though she tried not to show it. Before either of them could speak again, the door swung open. Min-jae stepped inside, face grim. "We have a problem." Jae-Min's entire demeanor shifted from cold, sharp, lethal. Zuri watched him from the bed, her heart cracking at how easily he shut himself off. "What now?" Jae-Min demanded. "We found the shooters. They weren't from the usual rival groups." Min-jae's eyes flicked to Zuri, briefly concerned and warning mingled there. This was personal. Zuri felt the room grow colder. "Personal?" Jae-Min's voice was ice. Min-jae hesitated before adding, "They were hired through a private channel by someone using an anonymous Korean ID card." "And?" Jae-Min snapped. Min-jae exhaled. "The ID belongs to a dead woman. Someone is covering their tracks well. And buying the hit order wasn't for you." The silence that followed was suffocating. It was for Zuri. Zuri's breath hitched. Her palms grew cold. Jae-Min slowly turned, danger vibrating through every inch of him. "For her." "Yes," Min-jae confirmed. "They didn't want the baby. They wanted Zuri gone." Zuri's world tilted. "But why me?" she whispered. Jae-Min's fists clenched so tightly his knuckles whitened. Who is trying to kill you? Her eyes lifted to his. I don't know. But Jae-Min wasn't convinced. Something dark flashed in his gaze. Someone from your past? He pressed. No. Zuri stepped back, hurt flaring. Don't look at me like I'm a threat. You are. Jae-Min cut in, voice trembling with fury, not at her, but at the fact that she was in danger. Not because of what you've done. Because of what losing you would do to me. Zuri froze. He realized what he'd said a second too late. Min-jae quietly excused himself, slipping out and shutting the door. The room felt small. Too intimate. Too raw. Zuri's heart pounded. Jae-Min. He looked away, covering emotion with steel. What happened last night doesn't change the contract. Her chest tightened painfully. Of course, she whispered. But, he said softly, almost too soft, it changes me. She didn't know how to respond. He stepped closer, eyes burning with something she was afraid to believe in. I will protect you, he said, from whoever wants you dead, from my enemies, from your past, from everything. She swallowed. Why, Jae-Min? He reached out, brushing a trembling thumb across her cheek. Because there is no storm outside, he murmured. Not anymore. His eyes dropped to her lips. The storm is inside me. Zuri's breath caught. And he wasn't talking about danger. He was talking about her. The snow was falling the night it ended. Not softly, not peacefully, but in heavy, furious flurries, like the sky itself sensed that Seoul's most feared Mafia king was preparing for war. Zuri stood behind Jae-Min in the abandoned shipyard, her hands resting protectively over her stomach. Min-jae and the guards formed a circle around them, weapons ready. They were here to end it, to end the attacks, to end the fear, to end the shadow hunting her. But no one expected the truth. A figure stepped out of the darkness. A woman, tall, elegant, ice colder than winter. Jae-Min, she said with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. Zuri's breath stalled. Jae-Min stiffened. Hyrin, his ex-fiancée, the woman who once held his heart before she shattered it. You're the one hunting Zuri? Jae-Min's voice was a blade. Hyrin tilted her head. Darling, you replaced me with her. Nobody. A surrogate. And you expect me to watch quietly while she carries what should have been mine. Zuri felt her stomach twist. Jae-Min stepped in front of her protectively. You lost the right to anything in my life when you betrayed me. Hyrin laughed softly. I didn't lose it. You took it. You threw me away. So I threw away your happiness. She nodded slightly. Dozens of armed men emerged from the shadows. Zuri's heart dropped. It was an ambush. Min-jae's gun was out instantly. Hyung, stay behind me, Jae-Min commanded Zuri without even looking back. The first shot rang out. Chaos exploded. Jae-Min fired at the nearest attacker, moving with deadly precision. Min-jae protected their flank. Zuri ducked behind a steel container, trembling as bullets cracked against metal. Her baby kicked sharply. Hold on, she whispered through tears. Please just hold on. Hyrin's voice sliced through the gunfire. Jae-Min, she doesn't love you. She loves money. You're a fool. Jae-Min roared back. I don't need her to love me. I love her. Zuri froze. The world seemed to stop, just for a heartbeat. He said it. He finally said it. Hyrin's fury erupted. She aimed her gun directly at Zuri. But she never got the shot. Jae-Min saw it. He ran. Not thinking. Not hesitating. Not caring if it killed him. He threw himself in front of Zuri just as Hyrin pulled the trigger. Bang. Zuri screamed. Jae-Min staggered. A bullet lodged in his shoulder. Jae-Min, she cried, catching him as he fell to his knees. Blood seeped through his coat, warm and frightening. But he grabbed her face with trembling hands, forcing her to look at him. You're safe, he whispered. That's all that matters. Min-jae's shout echoed, and moments later several guards tackled Hyrin to the ground. Her gun skidded across the concrete. Jae-Min collapsed fully, and Zuri held him, sobbing, her hands stained with his blood. Stay with me, she begged. Please, Jae-Min, don't leave us. His eyes softened at us. I'm not going anywhere, he whispered. Not now, not ever. And he didn't. 6 months later, the mansion wasn't cold anymore. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Flowers replaced steel decor. Warm laughter filled the hallways. Zuri sat on the balcony rocking a tiny baby boy Minjun Kong, who slept peacefully against her chest. Jae-Min stepped behind her, wrapping his arms around both of them. His shoulder had healed, though the scar remained a reminder of the night everything changed. You look beautiful, he murmured into her neck. She smiled softly. You say that every morning, because it's true, and because I'm in love with you. Zuri leaned back into him. I love you too. He kissed her temple, voice thick with emotion he no longer hid. You saved me, Zuri. Not with the baby, with your heart. She looked at the sleeping child. Our son will grow up safe, with a father who will burn the world to protect him. Jae-Min vowed, kissing the baby's head. And a mother who taught that father how to live again. Zuri smiled. This was family. This was home. This was theirs. The storm was over. Love had survived the Mafia. And for the first time, Jae-Min Kong, the Cold King, was finally warm.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also click on the notification bell, so that you will get notified whenever a new story comes up. You can also go ahead to tell me the country you are watching from, so that I can make a story for you.